In the far galaxy of Zetharian, there lived a powerful alien queen named Zalara. She was known across the stars for her beauty, her strength, and her fierce temper. No one dared to speak against her. No one dared to look into her eyes for too long. She ruled with a sharp mind and a sharp sword. But there were two beings she loved more than anything. Her twin daughters, Avera and Nixie. They were small, with glowing silver skin and soft purple eyes. They were playful, curious, and full of life, though young. They already showed signs of powerful gifts that came from royal blood one morning. The palace guards found their chamber empty. The princesses were gone. No alarms were triggered, no windows broken. The door was still locked from the inside. They had vanished without a trace. The palace turned into chaos. Guards searched every room. Drones scanned the entire palace. Servants were questioned again and again. But the daughters of Queen Zalara were nowhere to be found. When the news reached the queen, her scream shook the palace walls. "Find them!" she roared, her voice filled with power and pain. "Search every moon, every ship, every system. Burn the stars if you must." The queen's eyes glowed red, her crown shaking as her rage grew. She believed someone had taken her daughters, an enemy, a traitor, a thief. She sent thousands of warships into space. Messages were sent to every known planet. "Return the royal blood or face fire," the message said. But in another part of the galaxy, far away from the queen's palace, a human man named Jace Carter was waking up. Jace was a cargo pilot, flying small goods between planets. He lived alone in his ship, the Star Shadow. He liked quiet space, hot coffee, and fixing old engines. That morning he felt something strange, something warm pressed against his chest. He slowly opened his eyes and froze. Two small alien girls were sleeping on him, their silver skin glowing softly under the ship's lights. Their heads rested gently on his chest. One of them let out a tiny sigh, still asleep. Jace didn't move. His heart beat fast. "What the hell?" he whispered, too afraid to wake them. He looked around, confused. His ship was locked from the inside. He had been sleeping. There was no sign of entry, no alarm, no sound. Who are they? He thought. He had seen many aliens, but none like them. They looked young, royal, peaceful. His brain raced with questions. How did they get in? Why were they here? Were they dangerous? He reached slowly for his communicator. Maybe someone was looking for them. Maybe he could return them and get a reward. But when he turned on the signal, the screen blinked red, signal jammed. His ship was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Someone didn't want him to call for help. At that moment, the older twin opened her eyes. She looked up at Jace and smiled. Her voice was soft, like music. "You're the protector," she said. "You found us," Jace blinked. "Protector?" he asked. "I didn't find anyone." The younger twin woke up too. She hugged his arm tightly like she was afraid to let go. Both girls looked calm, safe, like they had been searching for him. He had never seen them before, but somehow they trusted him, and deep inside something told Jace. He couldn't let them go. Just then an alert flashed on his screen. A royal alien ship was scanning his location. Queen Zalara's warship, massive and deadly, was passing nearby. Its scanners searched for stolen royal blood. Jace stared at the screen. His breath caught. Was this about the girls? Were they the queen's daughters? He looked down at the two peaceful children resting against him. They were breathing softly, holding onto his shirt. If he gave them up, maybe the queen would reward him. But his gut said no. Something wasn't right. These girls didn't run from safety. They ran from something dangerous. Jace knew then he had a choice: give them up and be safe, or protect them and be hunted. He reached for the controls, took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "Guess I'm your protector now." The ship turned away from the queen's scanner, into deep space, into danger, into mystery, and so the story of the human and the alien princesses began, not with a battle, but with a heartbeat, and two small hands resting on his chest. The engine of the Star Shadow hummed softly as it floated through cold space. Inside the small ship, Jace Carter sat still, barely breathing. Two alien princesses were sleeping on his chest. Their silver skin shimmered under the low lights. Their tiny fingers gripped his shirt like it was the only thing keeping them safe. Jace didn't dare move. He wasn't scared of aliens. He had delivered goods to over 20 alien species, but this was different. They were children and royalty, and somehow, They had appeared on his ship in the middle of the night. His mind was spinning. How did they get inside? Why him? And why did the older one call him Protector? The ship's systems were quiet. The oxygen levels normal. No signs of forced entry. No alerts. Nothing made sense. Jace slowly shifted his hand toward the control panel. Trying not to wake them, he needed answers. But before he could tap the screen, the older girl stirred, her eyes fluttered open. Glowing faintly in the dark, she looked at him again, calm, curious. "You're warm," she said softly. "Safe. Who are you?" Jace whispered. She sat up gently, careful not to wake her sister. "I'm Avra," she said, touching her chest. "My sister is Nixie. You are the one we saw." Jace blinked. "Saw?" "In our dream," she said, "before we jumped." He asked, confused. She nodded. "Star jump." "We used the stone." Jace had heard of teleport tech. Rare, old, unstable. Something only ancient alien royals had. But even if that were true, why teleport onto his ship? "You dreamed of me?" he asked, trying not to panic. "Yes," Avra whispered. "You were kind." Before Jace could ask more, the ship's warning lights blinked. An alert flashed on the screen. Proximity scan detected. Unidentified royal warship nearby. His heart skipped. He quickly switched off the lights. The ship went dark. He glanced out the side panel. A huge alien vessel hovered nearby. Scanning the area, Jace recognized the markings. It was from Zalara's royal fleet. He had seen it in news feeds, black metal, sharp wings, glowing core. The kind of ship that didn't ask questions before shooting. "They're looking for us," Avra said quietly. Jace looked at her. "Why?" "What happened back home?" Avera didn't answer. Instead, she leaned forward and touched his forehead with her fingers. Suddenly, images filled his mind. Dark halls beneath a palace, a sealed chamber breaking open. A monster with fire in its eyes, whispers of ancient danger. Screams, running, hiding, then a flash of light. And escape. The vision ended. Jace gasped and pulled back. What was that?" "Like our memory," Avra said. "We escaped something worse than death." Jace looked at the younger sister still asleep, her small hand gripping his arm. "What about your mother?" he asked. "The queen?" She doesn't know," Avra replied. "She thinks someone took us. She will destroy everything to find us." Outside, the alien warship continued to scan space. Jace's ship was cloaked in the shadow of a rocky asteroid. "But not for long, we need to move," Jace said. "Now." He powered up the engines quietly, his hands moved fast but gentle. Any loud noise could trigger the warship's sensors. The ship began to drift slowly through the rocks. Jace guided it like a ghost, careful not to hit anything. As they passed the last asteroid, a small rock scraped the hull. A sharp metal sound echoed in space. The royal ship turned its scanners. "They heard us, hold on," Jace said. Gripping the controls, he pushed the engine, and the star shadow jumped forward. Not fast enough to escape, but fast enough to hide. They dove into a nearby gas cloud. Purple mist wrapped around the ship, hiding it from sensors. Inside, lights flickered, the engine choked. But they were safe. For now, Jace turned to Avra. "I don't know why you picked me," he said. "But if you want to live, you follow my rules. No talking during flight. No glowing weird stuff. And if anyone asks, I'm just a delivery guy." Avra smiled softly. "You're funny for a protector." "I'm not a protector," Jace muttered. "I'm just a guy with a cargo ship." Avra tilted her head. "But you didn't hand us over." "You could have. But you didn't." Jace didn't respond. He just stared into space, watching as the warship disappeared in the distance. In his arms, Nixie shifted in her sleep. And for the first time, Jace felt something strange. Not fear, not confusion, but responsibility. These girls weren't just passengers. They were in danger, and somehow they had chosen him. The stars stretched ahead like a path waiting to be walked. Jace Carter, once just a quiet pilot, was now the only thing standing between two alien princesses and a galaxy full of hunters. He took a deep breath. "Don't wake the sleeping aliens," he whispered to himself. "And don't die before breakfast." The ship sailed quietly into the mist, toward the next danger, and the next secret waiting to be uncovered. The star shadow floated through the thick purple mist. Outside, the galaxy burned with searchlights and warships. But inside the ship, things were quiet. Too quiet. Jace Carter sat in the pilot seat, his hands gripping the controls. His eyes scanned the radar again and again, no royal ships in sight. For now. The twins were resting again, curled up near the engine room. They felt safer there, close to the warmth. Jace had questions, too many, but he didn't push. He was still trying to understand how two royal princesses had ended up on his ship. Why the Queen Zalara was hunting him like a criminal, and what that strange vision was. The one Avra showed him. A monster, a chamber, a scream, and something ancient breaking free later. When the ship reached a quiet orbit around a forgotten moon, Jace sat down across from Avra. She looked tired but calm. Her silver hair shimmered under the ship's blue lights. "It's time you told me everything," Jace said. Avra nodded slowly. "I will," she whispered. "But you may not believe it." "Try me," Jace replied. Avra placed her hands on her lap and began. "There is a room deep below the palace," she said. "A place we were never allowed to go. Our mother called it the Cold Core. She said it was locked forever. One night, Nixie and I were chasing each other through the halls. She ran too far. I followed. And we found the door." Her voice lowered. "It was open." Jace leaned in. "What was inside?" Avra's eyes dimmed. "There was a creature," she said. "Not dead, not alive. Big, black. Covered in smoke. It had no eyes. But it saw us. It whispered inside our heads." Jace's skin crawled. "What did it say?" Avra looked down. "It said, 'You're not safe up there.'" And then it laughed. She shook her head. "We ran. We told our mother. She got angry. Really angry. But not at the monster. At us. She told us to forget it. To never speak of it again. But that night, we heard noises from the palace walls. Screams. Then silence." Jace felt a chill. "And you used the teleport stone?" Avra nodded. "Yes. It was hidden in our chamber. An old relic. Our father left it for us." That caught Jace's attention. "Your father? I thought the Queen ruled alone." Avra looked up. Her eyes filled with something deep and quiet. Sadness. "No one talks about him," she said. "Not anymore." Jace sat back. He felt like he was caught in something far bigger than himself. Royal secrets, ancient monsters, hidden fathers, and two alien girls who trusted him with it all. "I still don't get it," Jace muttered. "You could have ended up on any ship. Why mine?" Avra tilted her head. "Because of your heart," she said softly. "The stone picks where we feel safe." Jace looked away. Uncomfortable. He wasn't used to anyone saying things like that. He was just a pilot, just a nobody. He stood up and checked the scanners. Still clear, but not for long. Suddenly, the screen blinked red, new signal detected. A deep pulse echoed through the radar. It wasn't from the Queen's ship. It was coming from the moon itself. "What the hell is that?" Jace whispered. Avra's face turned pale. "It's him," she said. "He followed us." Jace stared at the screen. A shape was rising from the surface of the moon. Dark, large, not like any ship or creature he had ever seen. It didn't fly, it floated. Its form was made of shadows, moving like smoke in water. No metal, no engine, just darkness. The ship shook slightly. Nixie woke up with a cry. "It's here," she whispered, hugging her sister tightly. "It found us again." Jace didn't wait. He powered up the ship. "We're leaving," he said. "But you need to know something," Avera said, her voice urgent. "That thing, it's not hunting us. It's hunting anyone who knows. And now you know too." The engines roared as the star shadow lifted off the moon's orbit. But the dark shape began to follow, not fast but steady, like it had all the time in the galaxy. Jace pulled the ship into warp speed. Stars turned into lines, the moon vanished. But the fear stayed in the silence. Jace finally spoke. "Your mother thinks I stole you. The galaxy thinks I'm a criminal. And now some monster wants to eat my brain." Avra looked at him with a soft smile. "Thank you for not giving us up," she said. Jace shook his head. "I didn't do it for you," he said. "I did it because I hate being hunted," she giggled. It was a small sound, but it filled the dark ship with warmth. And as the star shadow raced through the stars, Jace Carter realized one thing. The real monster wasn't the Queen. It was the secret she had locked away. And now that secret was coming not just for the princesses, but for everyone who dared to know the truth. The star shadow trembled as it exited warp. Jace Carter slammed the controls, trying to keep the ship steady. Behind him, alarms screamed, lights blinked red. They weren't just flying anymore, they were running for their lives. The creature from the moon, the dark smoky thing, was still chasing them, not with speed, but with something worse, patience. It didn't need to catch them quickly. It just needed them to get tired, to slow down, to make one mistake. "We can't keep this up," Jace muttered, sweat on his forehead. "We need a hiding place." Avra pointed at the map, her voice steady but soft. "There," she said. "The fire belt." Jace looked at the screen and frowned. The fire belt was a cursed place. A long stretch of burning gas clouds, shattered asteroids and solar winds, a death zone. No sane pilot would go near it. "You're joking," Jace said. Avra shook her head. "The monster won't follow us there," she said. "It fears light, heat, movement." Jace looked back at Nixie, who was clutching a pillow, eyes wide with fear. He then looked at the dark dot on the radar that never stopped following them. He sighed. "All right," he said. "Fire belt it is." As they approached the deadly zone, space changed. The stars looked dimmer. The air inside the ship grew warmer. Outside, giant fire clouds spun slowly like dragons made of flame. Asteroids flew through them, some breaking apart, some glowing red. "Stay strapped in," Jace shouted. He pulled the ship forward. Diving into the first gas stream, the star shadow shook hard, sparks flying from the engine panels. The heat outside made the metal creak and cry, but the monster didn't follow. The radar showed only one dot now, Jace's ship. "Alone, you were right," Jace whispered. But he didn't have time to relax. A fireball burst in front of them, forcing him to turn hard. The ship flipped sideways. Alarms went off. Nixie screamed. Avera closed her eyes and whispered something in her alien tongue. Suddenly the ship steadied. Jace looked at the controls. His hands weren't on them. He looked at Avera, who opened her glowing eyes and said, "I can help." Jace blinked. "You're flying the ship with your mind?" She nodded. "Just a little," she said. "It listens when I ask nicely." They flew together, pilot and princess, through the burning maze. One asteroid nearly clipped the wing. A flaming gas cloud blocked their path. Jace pulled right. Avra pushed left with her mind. Together they slipped between the fire like a shadow in a storm. Minutes passed like hours. Jace's arms ached. Avra's nose bled from using too much energy. Nixie sang a soft melody like a lullaby. It calmed the ship. Somehow, it calmed all of them. Then, without warning, a royal cruiser dropped from hyperspace. The Queen's fleet had found them. The warship's lights lit up the smoke, and its weapons charged. Jace cursed under his breath. "We don't have time for this." A message came through. "Unidentified human vessel. Power down and release the royal daughters. If you do not comply, you will be destroyed." Jace laughed bitterly. "Always so polite," he muttered. He looked at Avra and Nixie. "Hold on," he said. "We're not stopping." He dove the ship into the heart of the fire belt. The cruiser fired. Beams of plasma missed by inches. Flames licked the star shadow's sides. The heat meter went red. Systems began to fail. "We're not going to make it," Jace whispered. Avra gripped the console. "There's a pocket of calm," she said. "Straight ahead." "Go now." Jace trusted her. He pushed the thrusters to full. The ship roared like a beast. They flew through the fire, into a sudden calm. A quiet space in the middle of chaos. The warship behind them pulled back. Its shields weren't strong enough to follow. It turned away, choosing survival over pursuit. Jace slumped back in his seat, breathing hard. "You two are trouble," he said. Avra smiled weakly. "You saved us again." "No," Jace replied. "You saved me." They floated in silence. Around them, the fire raged on. But inside the pocket, everything was still. For a moment, they were safe. Not from the Queen, not from the monster, but from being found. "Why is all this happening?" Jace asked quietly. "I'm just a cargo guy. Now I'm flying through fire, dodging bounty hunters running from shadows." Avra looked at him with tired but gentle eyes. "Because the galaxy is changing," she said, "and sometimes change starts with someone who doesn't ask for it." Jace didn't know what to say, so he didn't speak. He looked out the window, watched the fire dance in silence, and wondered what would come next. Because this was no longer about survival. It was about something more, something old, something hidden. And somewhere deep in his gut, Jace knew, the fire belt was just the beginning. The star shadow drifted quietly beyond the fire belt. Its hull burned and bruised, its systems tired, but it was still flying. Inside, Jace Carter sat at the edge of his seat, hands still on the controls even though the danger had passed. Avra and Nixie were asleep again, curled up in blankets near the warm vent. Their faces looked peaceful, as if they had never seen warships or monsters. Jace, however, couldn't relax. He stared at the star map on the screen. One place blinked in the corner, marked in alien language. It wasn't on any human charts, but Avra had spoken its name before. Orenshell, the planet of the forgotten clans. According to the princesses, it was a place even Queen Zalara feared. Not because it was dangerous, but because it held truth she didn't want revealed. Jace turned the ship toward Orenshell. He didn't know what waited there, but it was the only place left that hadn't tried to kill him. Yet when the ship landed on Orenshell, the ground felt different. It was soft, alive, humming gently under their feet. The sky was purple and green with two suns overhead. Strange plants moved when they passed, like they were watching. A group of tall, robed figures stood waiting near the landing site, their faces hidden but their eyes glowing softly. One stepped forward and spoke in a voice older than mountains. "You brought the blood of two worlds," he said. "And the man of no crown." Jace blinked. What?" Yavera stepped beside him. "They know who we are," she said. "They've been waiting." The robed figures led them through a forest of floating stones. Trees whispered, lights flickered in the air. It felt like walking through a dream. Jace didn't like it, too quiet, too strange. But the girls walked calmly like they belonged. At the center of the forest stood an ancient circle made of silver stones. This was the Sky Temple, built by the first aliens before there were empires or war. Here the truth waited. The leader removed his hood, revealing a face lined with age and stardust. "You are not the first to carry royal blood," he told Avera and Nixie. "Your father stood here once. Before he vanished." Jace stepped forward, confused. "Their father? I thought the queen ruled alone." The old figure nodded slowly. "Because she erased his name." He was human. Jace's heart skipped. "What?" "Yes," the elder said. "A soldier from Earth, crushed between two galaxies during war, saved by the queen, loved by the queen, feared by the queen. He wanted peace, she wanted power. When he stood against her, she removed him, but not before he left behind two daughters. Half royal, half human." Jace stared at the twins. His voice was low. "They're half human?" Avra nodded. "We always felt different," she whispered. "Now we know why." The temple glowed brighter. The stones pulsed like heartbeats. A prophecy was spoken. "When stars cross blood, and dark stirs deep, two lights shall rise, and one shall keep a heart of fire, a hand unknown, shall guide the lost back to their throne." The elder looked at Jace. "You are the unknown hand," he said. "The protector, not by power, but by choice." Jace laughed bitterly. "I'm just a cargo pilot." "Exactly," the elder smiled. "The ones who never want the crown are the ones who carry it best." Suddenly, a sharp whistle rang through the air. Everyone froze. A red light flashed in the sky. "Danger, they found us," the elder said. Bounty hunters' ships roared overhead. Black and sharp lasers hit the ground, exploding trees and stones. The peaceful forest turned into a battlefield. Jace pulled the girls behind a stone pillar. "They're here for you," he said. "Stay low." The elders raised their hands, forming shields of energy. But the hunters were fast. Ruthless blasters fired, smoke rose, screams echoed. One bounty hunter landed near Jace, tall, armored, his face hidden behind a metal mask. "Give me the girls, human," he said coldly. "And you may live." Jace stepped in front of them. Arms wide, not a chance. The hunter raised his weapon. Jace had no gun, no armor, but he didn't move, not an inch. He felt something then, warmth in his chest, a light spreading through his veins. He looked back. Avra and Nixie were holding hands. Eyes glowing gold, their power flowed through him. The hunter fired. Jace raised his hand. Light burst from his palm. The blast bounced away like water. The hunter stumbled back, shocked. "What are you?" He growled. Jace smirked. "Just the delivery guy." He punched the hunter, sending him flying into a tree. The twins stepped beside him, power still glowing in their hands. Together they pushed back the hunters, not with weapons but with unity. The temple stones rose into the air. Spinning faster, a wave of force exploded outward. The hunters vanished in a blink. Silence returned. The elders bowed. "It has begun," they whispered. "The protector has awakened." Jace looked at his hands. still glowing faintly. He didn't know what he was anymore. But he knew one thing. He wasn't alone, not anymore. Smoke still floated in the air as the last bounty hunter vanished. The sky temple stood scarred but strong, its stone still glowing from the battle. Jace Carter stood near the center, his hand still glowing faintly with golden light. He didn't understand what had just happened, but he knew something inside him had changed. Avra and Nixie stood beside him, holding his arms tightly. Their eyes no longer looked like frightened children. They looked like daughters of royalty and something more. Jace turned to the elder. "What was that?" he asked, still catching his breath. The old alien smiled gently. "You use their power," he said, "not to hurt, but to protect." "I didn't mean to," Jace muttered. "Power doesn't care about meaning," the elder replied. "It responds to the heart." Jace looked at his hand. It was back to normal now, just skin and bone, but for a moment, it had felt like a star had lived inside it. He looked at the twins again. "What else are you hiding?" he asked softly. Avra looked down. "We don't know," she whispered, "but we feel stronger when we're close to you." Before Jace could speak, a deep voice echoed through the temple, one that made the ground shake, one that stopped every breath in their lungs. "So this is where you've been hiding." The sky above the temple darkened. A giant ship appeared from the clouds, black and gold. Shaped like a crown turned upside down, it hovered without sound. Yet its presence screamed across the land. Queen Zalara had arrived. Jace's heart pounded. He stepped in front of the girls instinctively. The temple's guardians raised their hands, forming a glowing shield. A single beam of light came down from the ship. The queen descended slowly, her long cloak floating behind her. Her armor was sharp and beautiful, her eyes glowing red with fury. She stepped onto the stone floor. Guards flanked her, silent and ready, but she raised a hand, stopping them. Her gaze locked on her daughters first, then on Jace. "You," she said, her voice cold as space. "Thief? I didn't steal them," Jace said calmly. "They came to me." She walked closer. "They are my blood," she growled. "And you're nothing." Jace stood his ground. "Then why did your daughters run from you?" he asked. "Why did they hide from their own mother?" The queen's eyes flickered. For the first time, there was something else in her face. Doubt. But only for a second. "You don't understand royal duty," she snapped. "They are too young to know what's best for them." "They saw something," Jace replied. "They saw something under your palace. A monster," Zalara flinched. "That was all the truth Jace needed. You knew," he said. "You knew what was down there, and you let it grow." Zalara's voice turned sharp. "It was a mistake made long before their birth. A mistake I had under control." "It didn't look very controlled when it chased us," Jace said. "And now it's loose." The queen looked at her daughters. Avra's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't protect us," she said softly. "You punished us for telling the truth." Zalara looked like she had been struck. For a moment, her shoulders dropped. But pride held her tall. "They are mine," she said again. "And I will take them now." She stepped forward. Jace blocked her path. She raised her hand to strike him. But Avra screamed, "Stop!" A blast of light burst from her. A soft golden wave that pushed the queen back. Nixie joined her, their powers merging. The wind howled through the temple as ancient energy filled the space. The queen stared at them in shock. "You've awakened," she whispered. Jace stepped forward. "You made them strong by trying to control them, but they found their power by being free." The queen's face changed, no longer proud, no longer angry, just tired. She looked at the girls one last time. "They were the only good part of me," she said. "I just didn't know how to love without control." The temple lights dimmed. The queen turned to her guards and nodded. They stepped back into the beam of light. She looked at Jace, her voice quieter now. "Protect them," she said, "because they chose you." With that, she vanished into the sky. Her ship disappeared behind the clouds. The temple was silent again. Jace turned to the twins. They ran to him, hugging him tightly. Tears fell from their eyes, not of fear, but of relief. "It's over," Nixie whispered. Jace shook his head. "No," he said. "It's just beginning." Because somewhere in the galaxy, the dark creature still waited, and now it knew exactly who stood in its way. A human, two half-alien girls. And a truth too powerful to stay hidden. The sky above the temple slowly returned to its normal color. Clouds rolled away, the suns peeked out, and the wind calmed. But inside the hearts of those standing on the ancient stones, Everything had changed. Queen Zalara was gone. She had arrived like a storm and left like a shadow. Not with violence, but with silence, not as a ruler, but as a mother who had lost her way. Jace Carter sat on the edge of the Sky Temple's platform. His jacket burned, his hands dusty, but he felt more alive than ever before. Not because he had survived battles or bounty hunters, but because two alien girls were leaning gently on his shoulders, and they were smiling. Avra and Nixie were no longer hiding. They were no longer scared. They were shining for the first time. They had stood against their own mother. Not with hate, but with truth. The temple elders moved quietly around them, repairing broken stones with soft magic. The forest around the temple began to hum again. Life was returning. "Do you think she'll come back?" Jace asked, looking at the sky. Avra shook her head slowly. "She came to fight," she whispered. "But she left with something else." "Regret," Nixie added. "And maybe hope," Jace nodded. He had seen it too for a moment. The queen wasn't a queen. She was just a mother standing too far from her children. But peace never lasted long in their story. Because the ground beneath the temple trembled, a cold breeze passed through the warm air. The creature had returned from the far corner of the sky. A crack opened, black, twisting, endless. From it came the dark form, massive, shapeless, made of smoke and fire. It didn't fly, it glided, it didn't speak, but its presence screamed. The elders formed a circle, their hands glowing with ancient power. But they were shaking. "This is older than us," one whispered. "Older than the temple." The creature hovered above the trees. Its many limbs swirled like smoke in water. Eyes appeared and disappeared in the darkness. It had come for the twins. It had come for the secret they carried. Jace stood up, placing himself in front of Avra and Nixie. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't need one. He had made a promise to protect them. "You're not touching them," he said loudly. The creature hissed. Black energy shot toward him. Avra and Nixie joined hands, their hair lifted with power. Their feet rose off the ground. Light exploded from their bodies, white, gold, and silver. A wave of energy pushed against the black smoke. But the creature held firm. It was strong, older than stars. Born in silence, raised in shadow. Jace reached for them. "Let me help," he said. His hands touched theirs, and something happened. Power flowed like a river, not just through the girls, but through all of them. The light changed shape. It became a shield, a sword, a voice. "You are not welcome," Avra said. "This is not your time," Nixie added. Jace's voice joined theirs. "You lose." The light struck the creature like thunder. It screamed, its body twisting and breaking apart. Piece by piece, the shadow melted under the warmth of unity. Until nothing remained, silence fell. Not a heavy silence, but a soft one like the sound of peace returning. The temple glowed, the trees sang, and the galaxy took a breath. 3 days later, the star shadow floated above a quiet moon. Jace looked at the stars from the cockpit, sipping something warm behind him. Avra and Nixie played a quiet alien game with glowing orbs. They laughed, they argued, they smiled. The communicator blinked, an incoming signal. Not from the Queen's army, but from the Queen herself. Her face appeared on the screen. No crown, no armor, just her eyes softer than before. "I heard what happened," she said. "The creature, it's gone. Because of your daughters," Jace said. "And you." The Queen nodded. "I was wrong," she admitted. "About many things." She looked at the girls through the screen. "May I speak to them?" Jace looked back. They nodded. He turned the screen toward them. Zalara's voice trembled. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. "But I'm proud of you." Avera placed a hand on the screen. "We still love you," she said, "but we're not coming home, not yet." Nixie smiled. "We have stories to write." Zalara wiped a tear. "Then I'll wait," she said, "until you're ready." The screen faded. Jace looked at the twins. "So," he asked, "what now?" Avra grinned. "Adventure," Nixie nodded. "And pancakes." Jace laughed. "I can do both." And as the ship drifted into the stars once more, he didn't feel like just a pilot anymore. He felt like something greater. Not because of power, but because he had chosen to protect something precious in a galaxy full of monsters. Sometimes the kindest heart is the one that doesn't belong, and sometimes family is not where you're born, it's where you're finally seen.